welcome to episode 67 of PauseCast. It's December 21st, 2017. I can't believe we're this late in the year. Jesus Christ. How did we get here? My name is Jessica Alouette, and I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Mark Hanna, I use he, him, and I can't believe it's December at all, let alone the 21st.
How the hell did this happen?
I don't know, but I hope it'll end soon.
Yeah, I mean, linear time dictates that the year will end soon. That does mean our Game of the Year stuff, I guess, has to happen at some point. It'll probably be early January so that Mark can go on a holiday, come back. More on that afterwards, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
After the end of the show. This is our weekly show about video games where we talk about good things generally in video games. We talk about bad things sometimes that happen. Things we've been playing. So why don't we kick the show off with Mark?
Yeah.
Mark, what have you been playing this week? Or this fortnight, since we missed out on a week last week.
We did. So the big, huge event in video games for me in this last fortnight has been the Monster Hunter World beta on PS4.
Yes.
Which has... So I don't have a PS4, but my flatmate does. I'm planning on getting one soon so that when Monster Hunter World comes out next year, I'll be able to play it. And I played the beta on his account since it's for PS Plus people only. But in a couple of days, there's a non-PS Plus one, another beta, so I'm really looking forward to trying it again because I had a blast with this demo of the game. It really is more of a demo than a beta. It's not about logging bugs or anything. It's, hey, here's a tiny bit of taste of the content. Kind of like they did with the previous game, which I also played the demo of. And
Right.
I'm so stoked for Monster Hunter World now. It's hard. I have to wait a whole month and a few days before it'll come out. But all the changes are really exciting. I've always thought of Monster Hunter as quite a pretty game, but it's almost always, at least when I've played it, been on handheld consoles only. So obviously that limits to some extent how visually impressive it can be. It's always going to be on a small screen, low resolution and whatnot.
Oh yeah, naturally.
But on the PS4, I thought it looked really, really good. This is coming from the perspective of a long-time Monster Hunter fanatic, so I'm gonna like it, to be fair. But I thought it looked really cool. Pretty much, not quite all, but pretty much all, close to all of the changes I noticed seem like positive things I'm excited for.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning when we initially discussed, like, hey, Monster Hunter World's got a whole bunch of new stuff in it, and some of it helps to make the game a little bit more accessible and stuff like that. I remember you mentioning that you were going to be you were pretty skeptical at the time about how scout flies were going to work. So I would like to know your hot take.
So I'm still not a fan of the whole glowing green thing. The idea is, in previous Monster Hunter games, you'd go on a quest, and first step, you're hunting a monster, typically, and you need to find the monster first. In previous games, that has involved running around until you find the monster. And generally, especially if you're doing a quest multiple times, you'll know it hangs out in these areas. Once you've found it, you will use an item called a paintball, which you throw on it, and then it shows up on your map for 10 minutes or so. And that's been how you find and track monsters previously. Now what happens is your character has a little jar of glowing insects on their belt that will periodically fly out and highlight points of interest like mining points or plants you can gather from, or things a monster has left behind, like its footprints, or maybe it's scraped against the ground here, or it's left some mucus or some mud that's come off it or something. And if you go over these points and press circle, a little meter starts to fill up. Once it meets a certain threshold, your scout flies, these glowing green swarm, will go flying off and lead you closer to the monster. And you repeat the process until you find it. And whenever they find a point of interest, they make it glow bright green, which, I mean, yes, does make it more obvious to find, although still sometimes, if it's a footprint in grass, it doesn't matter that it's glowing green. It's been really hard to find. But part of what I don't like is it can be visually distracting, and if something's glowing green, I don't know what it actually looks like. If it's like monsters left mucus behind, it's presumably not always glowing green, so what does it look like? I wasn't hugely into that. I'm still not hugely into that, but the experience of tracking down and finding a monster is so much better now that you're following footprints and stuff like that. It's much more seamless. You don't need to worry about taking a particular item with you, which seems to be a bit of a trend. So the demo has actually softened me on my Scout Flies stance. I'm still not entirely 100% into them, but they're better than I had feared they might be.
They're better than you'd feared. That seems like... Okay.
I'd expect.
I'm going to leave that wording alone, to be honest.
Okay. I'd expected them to be bad. They're not all bad. There are some very good aspects to it. I'm just not hugely into the glowing green aspect of it. Just because it's very visually distracting, especially when it makes the things that they highlight glow green as well. That's the only real part I'm not into, I think. They'll go away during combat, so they're just not a part of the game during that, which is fine. Like, that works well. And during most of your hunts, you'll be in combat anyway. It's only the parts where you're finding the monster, or you're just going around gathering, that they'll be shooting out from you and making everything glow green.
Nice.
And then there's a lot of other changes as well, but we can dissect those a bit later. Actually, the other thing I've been doing, because I can't wait now, is my flatmate and I returned to Monster Hunter Generations on the 3DS. Both starting new characters, trying new weapons we haven't tried before, just because after playing the demo, we need more Monster Hunter, goddammit. So we've sunk like 10.5 hours into new characters over the past week, which is easy to go back to Monster Hunter for just a touch and sink a dozen hours in. It's surprisingly easy to do that. But yeah, that's been my fortnight. It's been Monster Hunter. I'm glad that
you've had such like a positive impression of Monster Hunter World. I hope the final game is as good.
I missed half your words there, but I'm just going to say yes. I did have a very positive impression on it. I'll go more into it later because there's a lot of stuff in there I think I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to hear what you've been playing.
So I've played a lot, as is my kind of norm for a given week. There's a couple things that I want to highlight, I guess, though, and both of them are kind of sci-fi.
Okay.
The first is I tried out a game that's about 7 years old for the first time.
Okay, so it's 2010-ish?
Yeah, I think so. I could be completely wrong about this release date, but who knows. But I tried out Starcraft II.
Ah.
And that did release in 2010, in fact.
Okay.
I tried out Starcraft II. I've played a couple of the campaign missions. I've played some of the training stuff. And that's a pretty good game, actually. I'm trying it out for free at the moment because they have made the first campaign completely free.
That's right. I thought it was something along those lines.
Yeah. So it was like, well, I've heard stuff about this game. I may as well give it a shot. I'm kind of like a passive fan of RTSs, I guess.
Okay.
And I don't know. I've always been really skeptical of Blizzard games, kind of generally. Turns out it's kind of good. I had a really good time with it. Mission structure is a little bit more, I guess, kind of scripted than I think I was anticipating as well. And has some kind of interesting twists on what I would expect from an RTS mission. Like, there's actually like escort missions that are in one of these campaigns, which, like, as a like person who plays video games somewhat regularly, you hear the words escort mission and kind of groan. But it kind of makes it interesting because it gives you like, hey, so we're escorting all these civilians off planet. We need you to basically create mobile armies and also like create stationed armies to defend this like route. Mm-hmm. Which is it was a cool way to do that, and I really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed what I've played of StarCraft 2.
Nice.
Now the second game I've been playing, only played a little bit of this, so impressions are a little bit like both of these games. I guess are I've played a little bit of them, and so my impressions are kind of limited. But the second game I've played was I don't know if you've heard of this. I think it's Star Trek: The Last Jedi.
That sounds like a Doctor Who game.
Yeah, it's definitely a Doctor Who game. So I'm playing the new Doctor Who game, Star Trek Battlefront II, which released like last month or something like that. Um, in the vein of the previous Battlefront games from 2005. Jeez. I grew up on those games. The original two Battlefronts were kind of a big deal because it meant, oh yeah, you can go like interact with big Star Wars battles. That was cool. Still just as cool, by the way.
The kind of impression I've got from the in-game footage I've seen is it kind of looks like some of the, like, in terms of graphical realism, looks like some of the battles in the prequel movies, like that kind of level, which is pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, no, it is brilliant. It does in fact look and sound very much like a Star Wars, which is kind of what you would expect from a Star Wars game. You want it to look and feel like that.
Definitely, and they've got some very distinct sounds and visuals that they can put in there, eh?
Oh yeah, like you will definitely feel like you are playing a Star Wars game as you play that game. I need to develop more thoughts on that. The progression system I'm getting used to it. It's kind of weird though.
Well, the progression system is the one that they rejigged right before release because everyone was up in arms about it, right?
Yeah, so the thing about Battlefront 2 is there was a whole like loot box debacle about it because during the beta time and like some early access time basically. So there was a period of time in which players who bought like a special edition of the game could play it a few days early.
Okay.
And so they got to play Final Code before anyone else did. And so right before release, people who had been playing the Final Code had been like, hey, so this is all kind of fucked because the progression takes something like 40 hours to get to one of the heroes. Like the economy of the game is completely screwed.
Whereas you can buy it with you could buy it with real money instead of spending those dozens.
No,
of hours,
no. That was never the case.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the thing that's getting people kind of like up in arms about Star Wars Battlefront is the progression system is tied to a system that is called star cards.
Okay.
And these primarily come out of loot boxes. Mm-hmm. The star card system, it kind of gives you like different abilities and buffs and stuff like that for your characters, and can somehow like some cards will change the abilities that a character has. Like it'll change like if you equip this star card, it'll change out your grenade for this other type of grenade, which has this other effect. Mm-hmm. That was kind of their progression system, and so you would like create cool star card loadouts like that. This could throw off the game's balance in theory, because the bonuses would then make you like harder to kill and stuff like that. And that is what people were kind of frustrated with, and with again the just like crushingly slow progression that was in the original version of this game. Ash has put a bit more time into this than I have, but she has reported to me that the economy is definitely fixed, and like she's gotten several heroes over the course of like a very limited time of play, like probably about 10 hours or so, and she's gotten most of the heroes unlocked. So things seem to be a bit better.
Cool, that sounds a lot more reasonable than 40 hours.
Yeah, no, that like she's beaten the campaign now, and one of the reasons that we picked it up actually was the fact that they had patched an expansion into the campaign for free, which takes place decades after the original part of the campaign.
Wait, wasn't this game just released?
It was, and when I say patched, I mean like I should be clear. They added a whole new mini campaign to it that's set decades later with the protagonist from the main campaign.
But like when you say added, it came out pretty much the same time as the game?
Came out about a month afterwards, yeah.
Okay.
It's about an hour-long addition to that campaign.
Okay. It's strange for any sizable content to come out so quickly after the game's release. That's why I'm asking questions. I'm feeling a bit confused. Okay, I get it.
If you think about it, like, Destiny 2 just had its big Curse of Osiris expansion, and that game is only a couple months old. But, like, the realities of AAA game development mean that Curse of Osiris was already in production months and months and months before Destiny 2 had even released.
Yeah, I guess I'm not too surprised about Destiny 2 because it's, to me at least, had that feeling of, oh yes, they've got expansions planned to be staged at certain points in time. Whereas I hadn't thought to expect that for Battlefront.
I certainly hadn't with the campaign, but they had they'd made promises out the gate where they had said, hey, so there's going to be no season pass for this game, but we'll continue to drop regular content for free.
Nice.
So, like, people were expecting kind of maps and weapons and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we're in what they're calling the Last Jedi season, which has a, like, ongoing faction war with, like, weekly objectives for each faction.
Is it, like, tied into the movie or something somehow?
Yeah, tied into the movie.
Okay.
Special heroes.
Does that mean that if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, you'd have to avoid playing the game?
I think you would.
That's
well,
like...
not narrative-wise, but there are a couple of battles that are straight out of the movie.
Yeah.
They definitely play out differently, but do you...
I've seen the movie.
Yeah, you've seen the movie. I've seen the movie. There was one battle.
There's going to be spoilers, obviously, if you haven't seen.
I'm going to keep this so vague. On the salty planet with the red ground.
Yep.
I actually played a multiplayer battle on that before we had seen the movie. I didn't realize it was from that. I just thought it was like, oh, it's an extended universe thing, and then it showed up in the movie, and I was like, my god, that's so cool.
Well, the fact that it's not clear that it's in the movie then makes it less of a spoiler, I suppose. And like you said, I would, if it were there and not clear that it's in the movie, I think even I would be fine with that. And I think we all know how spoiler-averse I am. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like, I just really, really enjoyed I really enjoyed The Last Jedi, by the way.
Yeah, so did I.
Porg out of 10.
I didn't like the Porgs, but...
Really?
Yeah.
Why didn't you like the Porgs? Now I need your hot take on Porgs.
I just didn't think they were funny. I just thought they were silly, and that's it. I don't know. They didn't feel like they were in place for me. I know Star Wars can have silly bits in it, but they reminded me more of the like slapstick CGI that was added to the special editions of the original movies when they came out on DVD.
Right.
They reminded me more of that. I don't know. I just wasn't that into them, but I really liked the movie.
From what I understand, the Porgs were basically an addition out of necessity.
I have heard about this, yeah.
Yeah, because there were puffins all over the island that they filmed The Last Jedi on, and so rather than digitally editing out all the puffins, they digitally edited in Porgs to replace them. See,
I didn't have a problem with them existing.
They added to the ecology of that world in like a really interesting way, I felt. They were very funny to see in action also. Like I was just deeply amused by Porgs.
I don't object to them being there at all. I just if there were like several scenes involved in them that I thought if they were snipped out the movie would have been improved. But that's just me, and obviously different people feel differently.
Yeah, fair enough.
Where were we?
We were talking about Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes.
And then I got onto The Last Jedi, and then we got talking about Porgs. Hey, do you remember Pogs?
Pogs?
Okay, I can't get into this. They were like little, what were they?
Were they like toys or something?
Yeah, they were like a little, like, collectible, kind of cardboard circle with a design on it typically, and you'd trade them with your friends, and they were called Pogs, and I don't know if anybody remembers Pogs anymore. If you remember Pogs, email us, pausecastshow@gmail.com.
Oh, I just googled them and, like, maybe I remember of them existing, but that's about it. Never had any, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so your two sci-fi things.
Yeah, I've got my two sci-fi things.
Actually, on Starcraft, I was just thinking, it's got the Starcraft franchise obviously has a huge link to PvP. It's like its whole big thing. You haven't touched the multiplayer stuff at all?
No, I have not.
Is that not free?
No, that is very much free.
Yeah? Okay, so it's not just a single-player campaign that's free then?
Yeah, it's like all the multiplayer and stuff like that for Wings of Liberty is also free.
Okay.
And and that first campaign.
I was wondering if so you go on.
I think there's like commanders for co-op that have like special abilities and stuff like that are maybe kind of locked off.
Okay.
But you can earn them or instant unlock them through real money.
Yeah. Yep.
But like the thing about that is it's not like a loot box purchase. It's just like if you know what you want, you can get exactly what you want. It's a shortcut thing.
Yeah. I was just wondering when you were talking about how the single player level design wasn't quite what you expected. Maybe they were trying to make a point of difference with the multiplayer, since people are going to sink a lot of time into that. So you wouldn't want the single player to be more of the same.
I feel like the multiplayer is definitely going to be like exactly what I expect out of RTS multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Like it's just going to be, we're going to be plunked down onto a map, and there will be ways to reach the enemy base, and I will be expected to defend myself also.
And everyone will click 1,000,000 times a second for no reason.
Yeah, there will be 100 trillion actions per second.
Every time someone's tried to explain this to me, all I hear is it's stupid and there isn't really a good reason for it.
That
anyway,
seems about right.
But I probably shouldn't get into that. Okay, anything else you've played aside from those two games?
I figured out. I've played like Forza.
Oh, yep.
Forza's still good. I don't have anything new to contribute there.
Okay.
Just Forza's good. Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is incredibly good also. That game is that game is wild. I can't talk about that game without spoiling it. It's like there's so much completely buck wild stuff that happens in that game, and I cannot talk about a single second of it because it's all just completely bananas stuff that happens in the story.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fucking. I don't even know. I don't know where to start with Yakuza. Yeah, shoot. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has also been a recurring theme.
They've got a new map now, eh?
New map. We tried that out.
Did you win?
No, we did not.
Big ass.
Yeah, no. It's fair enough. That new map is real nice. 1.0 is out today.
Oh, so they're not in early access anymore.
That game has officially left early access as of 28 minutes ago, in fact.
Oh, wow. I mean, about time.
Yep. Yeah. It's hard to believe, but yeah, that game is no longer early access. Yeah, that game is good.
Cool.
I just don't have anything new to contribute to those. The other, I guess, I have one other thing that is new that I can contribute to.
Mm-hmm.
SteamWorld Dig 2.
I've seen that name around, I think.
Okay. What have you heard about this game?
Literally, I've seen the name around.
Okay.
It's a game. I think I saw some screenshots on Steam once.
It sure is a game. So, are you familiar with Spelunky?
Yes.
Okay. It is kind of similar to Spelunky in structure, minus the roguelike elements.
Okay, cool.
You play as a character who is a robot, who is steam-powered, and you are tasked with finding your friend who has run off and gone missing in the mines. there has been a lot of earthquakes through the mines, and things are a bit shaken up down there at the moment. So, you should see what you can do about that. So you're tasked with...
That's right. I've just looked up screenshots, I recognise it. Now, I have seen it. I remember I felt turned off immediately because it reminded me of mobile games that I have not liked. None in particular, just the general look of the art style. There's nothing wrong with that, just that it reminded me of that. But, sorry, I interrupted you completely. Go on.
I was really charmed by that art style in contrast. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just that I haven't kind of drifted towards looking deep into mobile games ever.
I think, on its own, there's nothing wrong with it, and I can totally understand being charmed by it. Just, I had the immediate thought of, oh, this is like those mobile games that you can sink 100 hours into and not enjoy a single one of them.
Sure, yeah. This is like an 8-hour game, roughly.
Oh, so is it... For some reason, I assumed that it would be continuing play. Probably from the same association I was just talking about.
Yeah, no, it is a story-based game. It's all focused on... It's got like a cool flow to it that I don't think I've really seen duplicated in any other game. Especially not in something like Minecraft. Maybe Minecraft's early game is kind of the best way to describe that.
Oh yeah? How's that?
So, in really early Minecraft, the space that you can kind of carry in your inventory is pretty limited.
Yeah.
At least from memory, it's pretty limited.
You don't get like backpacks or anything in Minecraft, but until you get chests and stuff, you don't have anywhere to put it, I think is what it comes down to. Okay.
Maybe Stardew Valley then. How about that?
Yes, that definitely has very much more limited space in the early game.
Okay. So, imagine if you were doing like kind of Minecraft-y stuff with Stardew Valley's backpack capacity.
Okay.
So you're like getting your supplies, and you can only carry a few things before you have to go back up to the surface and sell some things.
Mm-hmm.
This is fine though, because as it turns out, that's a really good flow for this game, and it keeps you progressing mechanically.
Cool.
Like you'll get backpacks, you'll get an upgraded torch, you'll get a better pickaxe, you'll get all this stuff because you are just kind of by nature of the game forced to occasionally come to the surface and sell all your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The gems and stuff that you're digging up in the mines don't really have any practical use to you other than to sell them.
Okay. And then you sell them for the same stuff you use to buy better equipment?
Yes.
Right.
There's also like a cog system that you can use to get buffs for all the items that you get.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find those kind of throughout the world. But the actual, like, the progression of coming back to town is kind of important, and it's also encouraged by, like, a light that you have. So the light in your lantern only has a certain amount of time in it before it, just kind of gradually reduces down, and then it becomes very hard to see.
Yeah.
And so you'll have to go back to town to top up your light, which benefits you anyway, because it's like, well, you know, I'm out of light, but I can go back up through the shaft, and I can sell all my stuff, come back down.
So does anything, reset down there when you go back up
Nothing
to town?
resets.
No, okay.
It all just, it is all a fixed thing. If you dig a hole, if you dig a channel, it will be there the second you come back.
Okay.
It has some pretty cool, like, Metroid-style progression as well.
How's that? I haven't really played any of the Metroid games.
So Metroid's progression, much like Legend of Zelda, is kind of centered on, like, getting various power-ups throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
And those power-ups give you new ways to manipulate the world.
Yeah.
And, get around it. So, get the ability to get into the Morph Ball. In Metroid, you become very small. You can get through small spaces. So if you go back to this place earlier where you're like, oh, I saw a small space over here. What's in here? Now you've got maybe another power-up or something like that. And it also opens up different ways for you to explore that world.
There's a Morph Ball ability in Starbound, and I never realized until now that it was a reference to Metroid.
Yep, that'll be it.
Okay, cool. And I understand the Zelda analogy much better because I've played some Zelda games, but it's the same idea as you say.
Yeah, it's all item based progression. You get a thing, you get new abilities. Typically, you have to fight a boss with it to test those abilities. Not the case in SteamWorld Dig. I fought one boss, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah. What were they like?
They were like a there was like a weird cult that appeared briefly right at like this was right in the opening minutes of this game.
Okay, are they like the main enemy through the game or something? Then
No,
no,
I
just
have
this
no
random
idea.
cult?
Yeah, it's just a random cult that I spotted.
Huh? Okay.
The main enemy of this game right now is as of yet unknown. But my purpose is just find your friend who's deeper into the mines.
Yeah.
And also, hey, there's these earthquakes going on up in this town up here. Maybe sort out what's going on with those because we don't know.
Killed the guy.
But it seems bad. Sorry.
Oh no! The plot of Monster Hunter Tri was there's earthquakes happening. Kill this monster to stop the earthquakes, and that's the first monster they think is causing the earthquakes. So yeah. I'm in a Monster Hunter mood.
I don't know. I've really been enjoying SteamWorld Dig too.
Nice.
That game seems really charming. I wanted to. There was an article that I wrote in conjunction with Ash this past week, which was why the episode was not happening last week as well. Like we were working hard on that. A lot of late nights to get it kind of written and refined.
It was that, and both of us being busy this time of year, finding it hard to find another time to record.
Yeah, that is also a thing. But yeah, like I wanted to include it in that article. Unfortunately, I really didn't get to spend a lot of time with it, but it definitely left an impression on me. So I'm really keen on spending a bit more time with that.
I'm glad to hear that my initial thoughts on seeing screenshots were wrong about it. Then.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Nice. That's good to hear.
Maybe I could get you a copy of it at some point.
How much is it on Steam?
It's like $20.
Okay. She's been thinking of picking up Absolver since it's currently until tomorrow, so I don't have much time left to think about it. Like half off or something. It's like $18. But that's a game that I've been thinking off and on of playing, but haven't gone and picked up yet. But I don't know. I don't know what games I'm going to be playing when I go away yet. But yes, should I get onto my Monster Hunter thing?
Yes. Talk about Monster Hunter.
Okay, so we've talked about the scout flies already. There's a lot of other changes, and by far, I think, the biggest one is there are no loading times between areas. There are no, like, the areas, you just run from one to the other. It's very different.
Yes.
A long time issue, honestly, with Monster Hunter has been, crap, the enemy is in the entrance. Get them out of the entrance, because if you knock them down, we won't be able to get to them without leaving the area, triggering a loading screen, and then showing up somewhere where the monster isn't. Like, me and my flatmate have just been playing it this evening, and we've run into that. We've knocked it down, it's in the entrance, we can't get to it. Previously, I have accidentally killed monsters and knocked them out of the area and not be able to carve materials from them because I tried to get to them, and they're in the other area. As well as that being the problem, it's just, it's a loading screen. Which
it's annoying.
Yeah, it's nice to not have them. They're not long loading screens by any means. It also means that when a monster leaves the area, it'll. And sometimes they fly, sometimes they dig. If they run out of the area, you'll chase them. They'll disappear. You'll disappear. You'll reappear. They'll reappear. And it's kind of a bit jarring. Now, all the areas are contiguous. You and the monster both move from one to the other without loading screens. Chasing a monster across an entire map feels completely different now. It's actually really cool. Really exciting to do. They've got a lot of more environmental stuff now. Like environmental traps to hold the monster down, like vine traps you can get tangled in. It's got plants that, when hit by you or the monster, will provide you with cover by throwing up a bunch of spores, or they'll leave a big poison pool on the ground or something. So the terrain is a lot more important now as well, which is really neat.
Right.
every weapon seems to have new abilities. Which they haven't added any new weapons that I've seen, but all the weapons have new abilities. The weapons that I've tried have really cool new abilities, and I'm excited to see more of them. But there are some big changes that I think are going to make the game a lot more accessible. One of them is I noticed when you're picking a weapon, at least in the demo, I don't know if it's going to make it to the main game. They have 3 stars showing how accessible the weapon is. So, like, if you think, oh, hunting horn sounds cool, and you see accessibility to new players, 1 star, maybe not. That's good. They've got better in-game instructions on, like, the combos, including a Assassin's Creed style map of the buttons showing which ones will do which that appears in the top right of the screen, which you can disable. They've been really good at customizable HUD stuff. So you can see I'm mid-combo, if I press triangle, this will happen. And that's really good, useful as well for returning players, because I can easily discover what the new abilities are of this weapon and how to get to them. So that's really cool. They have added damage numbers that pop up. And I think I actually said, when we were talking about it a while ago, that I was worried they might introduce something like damage numbers. You can turn them off, so I'm not worried.
Yep.
It's great. Having them on has been interesting. They're small, they're not that obtrusive, but it gives you an indicator of, oh, I'm doing nothing by doing this, sort of thing. So I can imagine it will be useful if you're like trying out a new weapon, you want to see what's effective, what's not, or fighting a new monster, you're having a hard time, you want to see, hey, where am I doing the most damage? So I can see it as a useful tool, even though I think I personally will have them off most of the time.
Yeah.
You can now disable helmet visuals, so you can wear a full set of armor and not have a funny hat on, which is a really nice touch. I don't know yet if it's a global setting or a setting just for your character. I assume the latter, but just haven't been able to test it out, because it's hide helmets. I don't know if that's hide everyone's helmets or hide my helmet.
If it's anything like Destiny's current implementation, it's just going to be per character.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I'm only putting a caveat in because I haven't tested it. But that would make the most sense to do it that way, I'm sure. What else have they got that's new? So in previous games, if you want to use a ranged weapon, you need, unless it's a very low-level armor set, you need a completely separate armor set.
Yeah.
Any helm can be worn by anyone, but your gloves, legs, boots, and chest all are either for melee weapons or for ranged weapons. From the demo, it looks like that might no longer be the case, which will make it much more feasible to use both ranged and melee weapons depending on the monster you're fighting.
And that's like that particular design choice was something that like threw me off of the desire to try ranged weapons at all. It was like, oh, I have to make a whole new armor set? Fuck that.
Exactly, it's expensive, it's time consuming. What you spend your time doing Monster Hunter is hunting monsters to get their parts to make equipment. If you need to maintain twice as many armor sets, that takes a long time. It's a big commitment. My flatmate has used a bow, a ranged weapon, whereas I've always used melee weapons, and it's felt so hard to switch. Now that we're using new characters, he's in Monster Generations, he's been using Gunlance, so he's been trying out melee for basically the first time, because it's expensive to do both, so I'm really excited about that. A potential sort of downside is they've always had different designs for the melee and ranged armor sets, so we'll be losing that, I suppose, but it's worth the cost, I think, because that just made it hard to try more varied weapons, and being able to try a lot of varied weapons is one of the cool things about Monster Hunter. So yeah. That's exciting. Also, it looks like they're making it so a lot of the mundane items you'd have to take with you are no longer necessary. So I mentioned before about how paintballs have been made completely redundant through the use of scout flies. It looks also like the whetstone item you used to take with you for if you're using a melee weapon to sharpen your weapon periodically. This might be a demo thing, but I'm expecting it won't be. It's a character ability now, rather than having to carry 10 whetstones that get used up each time you sharpen your weapon. Now you've just had an unlimited supply.
Right.
They've also changed a bunch of little things, like you can sharpen your weapon without having to put it away first. While you're consuming a healing item, you can still walk. You can't run, but you're not completely stationary anymore. You can cancel using the animations for when you're using items, Like, I think I was sharpening a weapon and then something was charging at me and I managed to cancel it to get out of the way, which you haven't been able to do previously. So it'll be interesting to see how those change things. I think a bunch of these changes are going to make the game easier, so I'm interested to see if they're going to try to counterbalance that by trying to make it more difficult in any way in terms of the monsters. Monster Hunter's always been pretty good at having high-level stuff. That can be quite challenging, so I don't know what we'll see there, but I'm not too worried because they've been really good at it. But yeah, pretty much all the differences I've seen have been really cool. I'm just so stoked for it to come out. I've booked leave from work so that I'll have a 5-day weekend starting when it comes out. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm really looking forward to you getting your hands on the final game and letting me know your thoughts.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
I've also just remembered that I do have another game that I can bring to the table here.
Oh, yeah?
Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy.
I watched a video of that, actually. I don't think I'll sink money into it, but it was interesting to watch the video. Because Bennett Foddy made QWOP and GURP, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Which
so
are
this
great
is
games.
This is his newest game. You play as a bald man in a cauldron who has to use a hammer to navigate up a mountain. A baffling concept brought to you by the man who thought it was suitable for you to control the legs of a man using Q, W, O, and P to move him.
Do you know there's a hurdle at the halfway point of QWOP?
I have heard rumor of this.
I think my record is 5 meters, so I'm not getting to 50.
Yeah, no, I tried QWOP once and like it was the quintessential. I've tried this for 5 seconds and I get it, and I'm gonna leave this alone. I tried a bit more of Getting Over It. I got it actually like a few months ago as part of Humble Monthly.
Okay.
And then it had a Steam launch recently, but it was released first just a few months back. That game is wild. Bennett has a nice voice.
It made it to the number 2 spot on Steam for like a day.
Yeah. Bennett's got a nice voice. He like comments over this game as you playing it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He essentially acts as like a director's commentary. Which is, it's utterly fascinating. He talks about like the inspirations for this game. Like this game was inspired by a game called Sexy Hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that and I looked it up on YouTube and wow, look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. It's what he called like a B game. It's a game that was kind of like chopped together. It was made from various elements. He talks about the design process for Getting Over It and just being like, talking about like designing the mountain and like thinking, oh, this is actually too hard. But then he also reconsidered it and he was like, oh, maybe that's my fault as the player. Maybe like that is part of the challenge of this game, is overcoming it and the satisfaction that comes with it.
The video I watched was of him playing it. Alongside, I can't remember who it was with, but he was talking about how, you know, if he could manage a jump in this game once, that was it. There will be people within 10 minutes of the game being released who would be able to do it just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is a game that not everyone who plays it will finish.
No, and like that's for varying reasons, including like, you can get to almost the top of this mountain, and there is specific ways in which you can fall that will set you right back to 0 progress.
Yeah.
And by that point, you'll be much better at the game, of course, and you'll understand how it works, but man, that loss is going to be crushing.
And honestly, even if you're really good at climbing a mountain with a hammer, you're still climbing a mountain with a hammer. It's not ideal.
Speedrunners have already reduced that game to 2 minutes.
What?
Yep. 2 minutes to do all of Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy.
I feel offended by that somehow. It's not fair.
No, it's buck wild. I gotta see if
Oh
I
my
can find a
goodness.
video of this at some point. I'll put it in the show notes if I can find a video. But yeah, like that's what the current world record is right now. It's down to 2 minutes.
Yeah, of course it is.
I mean, like, if you got good enough at understanding the mechanics, like there is a layer of strategy that you can and mastery that you can just like dedicate to this game and get very, very fucking fast at it.
Having seen the entire route, over 40 minutes or so, I'm trying to think of someone just doing everything perfectly, and I still feel like it should take longer than 2 minutes.
It's like I'll check that speedrun leaderboard right now. It's bananas what speedrunners can accomplish. Apparently a bunch of world records were just broken for co-op World at War Zombies for Call of Duty. Huh. That sure did just happen, I guess. Getting over it with Bennett Foddy. The current world record is 2 minutes 16 seconds and 125 milliseconds.
That's just...
9 days ago was when that record was broken. The leaderboards here, very active. There is about 15 or so runs that I'm seeing on this leaderboard that were submitted today.
Wow.
Including the current second place run, which was just submitted today, coming in at 2 minutes, 17 seconds, and 542 milliseconds.
So it's probably going to come down more, basically.
Oh, probably. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sub 2 minute run coming very soon. Something that I've noticed about that game though, like momentum seems to be key to it. Like as soon as you start getting momentum, its weird controls kind of fall away, and you can definitely make infinitely more progress. But as soon as that momentum stops and you have to do something like precise, it becomes this completely bananas challenge.
Like the bucket.
Like, sorry, what?
Is the bucket one of those stopping points that people find hard?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Next to the snake.
Nope, still nothing. That means
Okay.
nothing to me.
Have you seen it run?
I have not.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yep.
The bucket is like at the 3/4 point or something.
Okay. I've only just gotten up to what I think is called the Devil's Chimney.
Oh, yes. Yes, I heard that it's called the Devil's Chimney. That looks like fun. When I saw him get to that in the video, I was like, wait, how do you even get up that?
I can assure you it's not fun. You have to use the lights somehow.
Yeah, you have to use the lights.
It's bananas. This game, I don't know anything. Nothing makes sense in video games anymore.
One thing that
Least
has
of
interested
all.
me about the control scheme is it's the most similar control scheme I think I've ever seen to what was that game, Hammer Fight, that I mentioned ages ago, when you've got the flying machines with the weapons attached to them, that I've gone back to a bunch of times. I got it in a Humble Bundle like a couple of years ago, and I keep coming back to it because it's actually a really good hidden kind of game. But it's also
Right.
had that kind of radial mouse control scheme as this game, and I haven't really seen that in any other games.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. What can you think of any other games that like you really enjoyed that have kind of like these weird control schemes?
Hammer Fight's definitely the one that's coming to mind. And honestly, the other ones are made by Bennett Foddy.
Of course they are.
GURP was pretty fun. His climbing game where you don't use your legs. What else might there be? Playing Monster Hunter earlier, there's a status effect that reverses your analog stick. That's kind of a weird control.
Nope. Absolutely not.
It's fine while it's reversed. What you have to watch out for is you don't know when the status is going to leave you, and you're suddenly going to try to run the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Weird control schemes. Have you got anything you can think of with weird control schemes?
I honestly can't. Like the only thing I can think of really is just like getting over it.
It's also, I just want to say, it's a fantastic name.
Oh, it really is. Um, Bennett talks about like getting over your failure as as you fall, or even as you like reach a point and you're like kind of struggling for a bit there. Bennett's commentary will come in and like there's a soft music track behind all this commentary. I should note as well. And he's like, "You've done this before. You know you can do it. Just do what you did the first time." And like he kind of encourages you through this process, and like there are quotes about failure as you fall down the mountain as well. Again, just backed with that soft music.
I can imagine this being quite a rage-inducing game, but the way you're describing it sounds kind of zen. How are you finding it?
It is kind of zen. I think the way that like most Twitch and YouTube types are gonna play it is as this like very easy rage game, where it's just like I'm gonna like completely overreact and generate like outrage and pretend to be completely mad about this game and flip my keyboard and whatever.
You're performing the game instead of playing it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, like there's a degree to which streaming is just performance as is. I definitely notice that as someone who does stream somewhat regularly. Like it's an exhausting process for me because it is performance. It is me talking. It's me playing a game in a way that I do not normally play it, in order to make it more entertaining for other people to see me do. Like it is just a pure performance. I also want to be clear. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a bad thing that streaming is performance. It's good, but it's like, I guess my biggest beef with kind of a lot of Twitch and YouTube kind of culture is that the performance just turns into like really, really easy rage and really, really easy anger, and that's deeply unentertaining for me to watch.
Yeah.
Where someone who can actually be entertaining, like the McElroy brothers and Monster Factory, like that is infinitely entertaining to me.
I've been getting further in the Adventure Zone, actually. I'm near the end.
Oh, wow. Taz is really good.
It is really good. I feel like I'm learning from it as well, as a DM about what works and what doesn't, what's important in a story. So that's actually really cool as well. But I'm probably like 80 episodes in the end or something.
I've had so many conversations with you about Taz when we've talked about just your D&D games in general. It's just like, oh yeah, there's like this cool thing in Taz where, this thing happens and like there's an exploration of time loops or whatever. Like, the reason I've talked with you about this stuff is because like I feel like it has a lot of just really fantastic tools for storytelling in it.
Well, I think the thing that and sorry, I've brought us on a bit of a tangent now, but I think the thing that Griffin does really well in it is that all that interesting stuff he does in the setting, it is a backdrop for interesting character stories, and it's the characters that make the stories, and I think that's why I'm learning from it.
Right. Having a good world helps good characters tell those stories, though.
Definitely, but if you don't have enough of a focus on the characters, it can just be too impersonal.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm trying to keep more in mind now as I plan stuff ahead. We've just finished the year's worth of, finished year 2 of my campaign, and a good place for me to plan ahead, so I'm going to plan a bunch of stuff over summer.
And we're maybe going to do a one-shot at some point?
Yeah. Not really time for it this year, but plenty of time next year. I'm still on for it.
Ash just got that email today.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to her earlier.
And so I told her, like, oh yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to do that this year.
Yeah, that's fine, though. We can try it next year.
Yep. Plus, that means there's way more time for you to, like, actually develop a one-shot with us. We can build out your world. We can build out your world in some interesting ways. Maybe we could. Ooh, no. I have some ideas. We'll talk off the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, the McElroy brothers brand of content, though, they're just very entertaining to watch, and they're very funny to watch, and they don't turn the game into this easy rage generator. It instead they try to transform it in some meaningful way, which is
definitely.
not like it's something that I have not done a lot of, admittedly. Like I just straight up haven't. It's a lot of just kind of me playing the game and lightly talking over it, and that's not really transformative in any way. It's not adding something new that you can't get from watching anyone else.
So you're comparing your one-person stuff with some stuff that multiple people are doing together, and they can play off each other and stuff.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that.
Don't be unfair on yourself, is what I'm saying.
Oh, dude, I'm in no way trying to be unfair to myself here. That was just my thoughts.
Fair enough.
All right. So with this upcoming week, you're not going to be here next week with us, are you?
Hard to say. So normally, in previous years, every time I've gone away over the summer, I go to the same place. We have an internet there. Now we do, but I haven't yet experienced what it's like, so I don't know how easy recording from there will be.
Okay. Maybe we do a test the day before?
Yeah, we can figure it out and see how easy it is, because I can easily take my recording gear up. I'm
that's nice and stuff. Portable.
Yeah. I also don't know if I'll be playing games that much while I'm away or not. We'll see, basically.
I sent you that PS4 deal. That's still worth checking out, I feel.
Yeah, my plan is to look for one on Boxing Day when everything's on sale.
Yeah.
Because I might see if I can find a screen at the same time, which I'll also need. Fair
enough.
But, yeah.
I mean, the other thing you could do is just get an HDMI switch. That's what Ash has done. We bought like a $10 HDMI switch.
What's that? You've told me before, I think.
So you'll plug the switch into your monitor, and then whenever you want to play the PS4, you hit a button on the switch, and it switches over to PS4.
Oh, what you're forgetting is that I use a laptop.
Right. Yeah, so you would need an external monitor.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry, that's my bad.
I've got one. It just don't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see how things go, but in case you aren't able to join us next week, thank you for being a part of PauseCast all throughout the year. And I look forward to having you back in the new year to continue the show with us.
Thank you. I'm sure that I won't disappear completely while I'm away.
No.
Probably.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
I like having you around, so maybe don't disappear.
I'll do my best. It'll probably be different with internet up here.
Over the course of the next couple of weeks, we'll probably have some guest episodes. I might have a discussion about all of the Call of Duty games with Hannah and Yardno, both of whom have guested on the show before, and we've all got different takes on that series that we all want to have a big discussion about. So that might be an episode in the coming weeks. Ash might be back for another episode. Game of the Year stuff probably early January, I think, is what we're going to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And we still need to do our pilot episode of our secret project.
Yeah.
We still need to do that at some point. We need to set aside some time for that. Maybe if our recording setup works, we could do it then.
Let's try it and see.
Okay. Let's see what we can sort out. We can see if we can get this pilot done and tested. All right. Let's get into our usual wrap-up stuff. Thank you for listening to this episode of PauseCast. If you like what you heard and would like to support the show, there's a few ways you can do it. First, if you're listening on iTunes or any other platform that allows you to rate or review podcasts, please consider giving us a rating or review. It helps us out a lot with visibility. Speaking of visibility, if you want to share the show with your friends, your neighbors, anyone who you know that likes video games and likes hot takes on video games, we would really appreciate you sharing the show with them. It helps us immensely whenever you do that. So thank you so much. Another way you can support the show is if you would like to support the show financially. There is a way that you can do that. Patreon, which, by the way, is no longer doing those proposed fee changes that make patronage more expensive.
Which is good news.
It's very good news. So your patronage, if you are an existing patron, will remain as normal. If you would like to contribute to our Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/PauseCastShow. And you will find our Patreon there. We only offer one tier, which is $1, but you can give more if you'd like. And we'll shout you out every week, and a couple other things. Thank you very much to our patrons, Sammy, Mary, Allodrain, Noah Holmes, Residoke, Ash Yee, Laminated Moth, and PD for their continuing support of the show. It means a lot.
Yeah.
If you'd like to email the show, we would love for you to do that. We'll read questions on the air each week if they are sent to the inbox at pausecastshow@gmail.com. Thank you to Leon for the use of our theme song, Honey Milk Island. You can find Leon's music at soundcloud.com/LEYAWN. Mark, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter at HonestUniverse, and I write a blog as well, though not about video games, at honestuniverse.com. What about you?
You can find me online at bird.school, as well as at maximumgun.org, where I do streams. You can also find my work on the spin-off. We have an article that me and Ash have an article, I should say, that has just gone up. It is about some of the best games of the year that people might have missed. It's stuff that we've talked about before on the show, Night in the Woods, Nier Automata, Persona 5, Prey, and The Evil Within 2. All of those are on that list. They're all really great games. That's a really great article as well. I'm really proud of the work that we've done on that.
Yeah, so I had it read and I agree.
That's up on the spin-off. The link to that will be in the show notes. I have some other work on the spin-off as well, if you'd care to read that. Alright, and is that everything?
I think that's everything.
Alright. Thank you so much again for listening to our show and for tuning into this 67th episode. We're getting very close to that very special episode. I had to mention it. I'm sorry.
I know you're looking
Thank you again,
forward to it.
and we'll see you next week.
Bye.